Shameel, welcome to Off the Clock. Thank you very much for making the time. I know you're very, very busy. Today is more off the clock discussion with you. Not so much interested into the heavy stuff that you're doing within Vodacom. In fact, I know I've been watching you in terms of the work that you're doing. When you joined as the CEO, I think Vodacom was here, now you've taken it here. So that probably has taken a lot of energy out of you. It's a pity I don't have my son with me today, who's a co-host for me. He's got a little bit of temperature, he's under weather, he's not well, but I'm sure you'll meet him one day. We just would like to know a little bit more about who's Shameel, the man, off the clock. What do you do with yourself, and then we'll come to family and kids if you've got any. So what do you do for yourself off the clock?
I hope your son has a speedy recovery. Thanks for having me on the show. To be honest, working, like, a lot of time goes into work, so off the clock is more just kind of spending time with the family and really just sometimes trying to just switch off. It's not a lot more complicated than that, to be honest. And also every Sunday I swim. I meet up with my friends. So people go golfing, we go swimming. And so that's quite nice. And then we have a coffee and bit of a catch up, and yeah.
So, what about family? Do you have kids, boys and girls, mix? How many? And how do you spend time with them?
I've got 3 kids. The eldest is 26, so he's just finishing up at KPMG. He's done his CFA, and I'm a grandfather, so that's how I spend my time these days. He's got a little daughter. She's a year and a half old.
Okay.
Kind of the light of the house now. My daughter's 24. She's finally a veterinary student, so she's just finishing up this year, hopefully. And then my son is 21, the youngest, and he's doing informatics at Takis.
So how do you spend time with them, even at this stage? I'll tell you my story, but you tell me first. Do you do the usual family schedule, which is what everybody else does, or sometimes you spend time individually with one of them just to connect with them?
A lot of it is over food.
Over lunches and dinners and breakfast,
and so on.
Yeah.
So we make time to sometimes meet up, over the weekends and stuff, but also dinners. And then the one that's married, will come over. So, and try and have a catch up on everybody's days and so on. It doesn't happen every day, but we try and do most days. So that's the way we kind of stay in touch. And then with the boys, a lot of, and then also over TV, watching a movie with my daughter, watching, sports with my sons, so we're all passionate Manchester United fans, for better or worse. And so, a lot of shouting at the TV, so, and then of course watching Formula One, as well.
Talking about Formula One, football, when we started this podcast with my son, the big thing was demystify the CEOs. They, often you're seen as a robot, like a working machine all the time. Do the family see you like that?
Honestly, very like normal life. It's nothing fancy. I'm comfortable with the takeaway and with the fancy restaurant. So but personally, I prefer real stuff. So. And real food, and so
you don't want to mess around with tacos and small beggars.
No.
What's your favorite dish?
It's actually an Indian dish. It's called curry khichdi, which is And it's this little curry with like yellow sauce and so on. Very nice. I'll invite you one day. It's not something you can have in a restaurant.
Okay, so it's quite a special dish. So, I'm going to take you on you supporting United. Do your sons and daughters support United?
Yep.
I mean, is that voluntarily, or it's kind of you have to support, this family supports United thing, or, and I'll tell you my story just now.
I think they got brainwashed.
Yeah, I mean, no hard feelings. I support Arsenal. And I got my son, who's not here today, to support Arsenal. And I bought him the shirt and everything else when he was like 6. And growing up, he was into this thing. And we all know what happened to Arsenal. Yeah. They went like this, and now we're on the up. You may disagree, but I think we're on the up. So in that time when, we're going down, he said, look, Dad, I'm moving on. I'm big enough. I'm going to support Liverpool. Was probably the saddest day of my life when my son left Arsenal. And you can imagine, I have 2 children. My son is the second and last, and a daughter who's also just got married and left the house and almost facing a empty nest situation at the house. But me and my son kind of trying to do this to stay together. So I'm suffering at the moment with that football story.
I can imagine. But shame, man. Supporting Arsenal can't be easy. But they did have a very good season. I must say they had a really good season though.
But you really
almost.
Shameel, you really think supporting Man United is easy these days?
No.
I mean, in a way, I think you Man United fans, you're still living on the glory of the past, just like us now.
Yeah, true.
Maybe that we can agree on.
We can agree on.
So hopefully we'll see. How do you see the season? You think Ten Hag is going to do a good job and you guys are going to come up, or?
Yeah, I think he's definitely moving in the right direction. So I think they'll definitely be more competitive, whether it's a challenge for the title. I think it's more consistency, right, actually. I mean, if you look at Arsenal last year, when City might have been the better team, and you'd have expected Liverpool to do well, but the consistency of Arsenal, okay, they lost it at the end, was just absolutely, fantastic. So
yeah.
There's a lot of analogies, even from business, right, about having the right team, the right coach, the right, So yeah, I think he's getting the right team in place.
Yeah, look, we'll see. Arsenal had a great year, great season, and we'll see what happens. Consistency wasn't there. The team was too young. We tanked at the end, and I'm still recovering from that. Coming back to family, your daughter, do you ever spend like quality time with her? Do you have nephews and nieces and things? I'm sure your family sees you as a role model, right? And maybe even your children, there's so much pressure that you got this father, dad, who's done so well. I know you told me in the past that you kind of started from the bottom, Marava start. You've always been a hustler. So, how do they kind of relate to, the man you become in the corporate world, but the connection to the real life to them, what it means,
To be frank with you, I think when you get home, it's just normal, and the same with I got, we're 6 brothers, 6 kids. And so, it's just normal. It's just Shameel. There's no CEO of Vodacom or anything like that. It's just normal. And that's actually quite nice, to be honest. I complain at home. I say, you know, I have to work and then I have to still come and like at night I make the whole family coffee, and you know, we and it's like one of the things is who's going to make coffee, you know. So and I think it's important because it allows you to switch off somewhat.
Okay.
And
All right.
and then you're just normal. And even with the family and even with the broader community, you know, it's just I'm just me, which I like. So you know, you could find me across in the local takeaway, or you know, buying stuff and doing normal things. You know,
From the office to home, you don't struggle with the transition, even the language, because my children have called me out sometimes in the heavy language sometimes I use in the kitchen. The one example that I come on, my daughter like called me out and said, "Dad, you just sound like a, you know, CEO in the kitchen," because I was asking her, "What's your opinion about this and this?" You know, she said, "Dad, why don't you just ask me how do I think about this? What's my view?" You know, opinion is like a boardroom language. You don't struggle with that.
not so much in the language, but sometimes in the switching off.
Yeah.
I think you'll relate to it, which is, you know, sometimes you're there but you're not there. You know, in terms of you got some worry about what's going on, or you're thinking about something. So sometimes just being able to disconnect or being fully there is probably the hardest challenge, and being fully in the conversation.
Be present, yeah.
And being present, you know, which I try to do, but to be, if I'm honest, is not, you know, sometimes I get called out on, you know, put down your phone and be in the conversation, or there's something happening and you're busy WhatsApping, or you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I see you carrying 2 phones, probably 3 with your watch.
No, not much. No watch.
So that could be, you know, too much. So let's move on to, you travel quite a bit, and how do you switch off from, you know, one country to the other, more in the food, in the relaxed way, not so much about, you know, the business, even the language and all that, you know. Having also been on the road and traveled to about 43, 44 countries on the continent, I've kind of, you know, tried to go with the flow. How do you do it? I mean, just now you spoke about your favorite dish, and I'm sure you don't find your favorite dish wherever you go.
It depends where you're going. I mean, I do a lot of like fly in, fly out type of thing. And so London, you know, this last week was Mozambique is an example. On the one side, depending if you can get a weekend in.
Yeah.
So like if I go to New York, I love New York as an example, in London. And then I walk. You know, I love walking in New York, you know, to the park, through the park, and, you know, all the way down to a place that I like to go and get a nice shawarma from. I have my favorite place in New York.
Get that happy moment alone.
And then, you know, just kind of drifting through the streets, see what you see, kind of thing. But you know, if you can get that little time in, that's always nice. And then, of course, around it, like meeting with the different team or the people that are with you, you know, finding nice places to go to, you know, really trying to get a little bit of the experience in as much as you can. Normally, you know, is like when you're doing road shows, it's quite, you know, you're flying from place to place, you've got lots of meetings, so at least you have a little bit of time to switch off, or even just try and get in some exercise.
What about your favorite city in the continent? I know everybody loves New York, but I mean, is it Lagos, Cairo,
On the continent, it's
Nairobi?
going to be Cape Town. So on the outside of
South Africa?
outside of South Africa, it's probably Cairo. Yeah.
Okay. Why Cairo?
I like the hustle and bustle. I must say, enjoying the experience with working with the team, and for me, it's a very real city, bustling city. But lots of I like the history on the one side, and all the historical parts of it, and so on. But also the new modern side is also quite exciting. And sometimes, we go to those areas where you've got a kind of I call it a center in the middle of, the hustle and bustle of Cairo. So, yeah, and I enjoy the people.
It's funny you mentioned Cairo. I mean, Cairo is not I love Cape Town, by the way, very much. I mean, the best holiday for me it's Cape Town because of what it is. But maybe Cairo is not the second city, but I love it a lot because of the history, and it's just so fun because I started learning the Arabic language and going around yalla yalla, malish, inshallah. So and also, as you said, I mean the history is so powerful, and I remember. I'm Christian, and thinking about how when you read the Bible, the whole story about Egypt was a very Christian country, I think, before it became a Muslim country, and also the whole story of Jesus and Moses and the tree and the pyramids and all that. It's just so rich, in that. But I must say, my second city on the continent is Nairobi. It's just a different level of vibe, and the dance and it's just it's so busy with those traffic circles and the way things are. It's just and in the same way, I think I tried to learn the Kiswahili language and got better with the language and. Go around, greeting and asante sana, sawa sawa kapisa, and getting on it. It's just, and I think it's probably the incentive that you get when you're on the road. It's just you feel the difference in the vibe. Where to at a personal level? I mean, it looks like you really kind of the role model. I mean, I check the social media, I see you there. I check the business side of the newspapers, you there. And, the stories that you told me about yourself, it looked like very balanced from a family standpoint, so which is, something that's so good. Where to from here? I mean, at a kind of a, personal level, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, I think, for me, I see my purpose as really being able to make a difference and to give back to society. So, Vodacom really helps me to fulfill that. But I also try and do that in my personal capacity. We have our own orphanage, home of safety, where we have between 26 and 30 kids at any point in time. We're going for 12 years, so that's been, that's quite fulfilling. What I'd like to do next is continue to fulfill that purpose and to do things that help to develop people, to help grow businesses, but really to make a difference. And I'm quite passionate about the continent and also about South Africa.
How do you cope with stress? I mean, I'm kind of in the same situation. I know stress is part of the deal. How do you cope with that?
Basically learning to manage disappointments or things and trying to, not always internalizing all of it, if you like, but it's easier said than done, right? When you've got the pressures are there. When I try and get home, part of it is also just relaxing. I like to lounge out at the TV, watch a series or watch some sport or something, just to kind of relax, but also I think exercise helps. And then of course if you can get to take breaks, I like that's always good. Not that I get to take many, but I think being able to get some downtime, I think always helps. And for me, the weekend is, just try and de-stress as much as you can. Use the time to spend with family, use the time to exercise, meet up with friends or family and the broader family and so on. I think it's always important to just kind of, almost a little bit of a reset, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, this podcast was really, inspired by that in terms of how do CEOs really, do switch off. That's why it's called off the clock. Like, what do you do when you're not working? Things that really inspired you, because you've always been Shameel before the CEO. So how do you, cope with that? Do you find it hard to switch off?
No, I do. For how I switch off is I like to read a good book, and I try not to read business books. I try and read thrillers or novels. Robert Landon, John, Grisham, Jeffrey Archer, those type of books, So, on a holiday I can read 4 books or 5 books, and that's how I sit at the beach, read, and yeah, I find that helps me to relax a lot.
And you spoke a little bit about music. I mean, what type of music do you listen to?
Variety, but I enjoy, pop music, and of course, a lot from the 80s and 90s,
Giving away your age now. And movies, I mean, what's your top 3 movies? You spoke about, watching TV a lot with the boys. I mean, apart from watching Man United and Formula One, I mean, you watch movies. What's your greatest movie of all time for you?
It's a tough one. I quite enjoyed, I like movies that some of them love stories and these type of things, but also, there was a little bit of, something like Braveheart was one of the ones I really enjoyed, and I watch various different things. I watch everything from some documentaries, but also on the other side, like, just family movies, relaxing, different series, spy movies and all of these type of things.
So, I mean, I'm glad you love movies. I actually a movie fanatic. This is the stuff that I wanted to do when I was small. I produced drama at high school, played it in my school and other schools, and I really liked that creative side of things. And my parents at the time said, you can't play forever. You have to be something, doctor, policeman, priest, teacher, something. You can't do that. So I gave that stuff. But today I still support an NGO in Braamfontein called Global Girl Media, helping young girls get into film, photography, and journalism. And as a result of that history, I collect movies and watch them with the producer's eye. And maybe I can recommend a movie or two, because you talk about romance. A movie like Something's Got to Give is quite a very relaxed movie that you can watch. And another family movie called Finding Forrester. So now that you got like kids and all that, it's a good movie. But my favorite movie that's really action-packed is by Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday, as a coach of a team.
Yes.
Very much relate to me, managing teams. So those 3, I think, I can WhatsApp them to you if you like. And
I've watched all 3 actually. So I really enjoyed Any Given Sunday. In fact, I used the theme of Any Given Sunday, especially when he gives that speech to the staff.
So before we close, do you have any question? And I really miss my son. I hope he was here. He was going to ask you young and baby questions. Do you have any questions or any comment before I give you one or two questions for the road for me?
No, not really. So go for it.
So what's next for you?
What's next for me is I'm still here, still very much engaged. Closing on 30 years at Vodacom.
Born and bred here?
Born and bred, part of the furniture. Still very passionate about what we do and the difference that we're making. I think we still got a lot to do, so trying to make sure that we can fulfill our purpose of connecting for a better future and using tech to be a good part and to play its part in solving real life problems. A lot on the ESG side, of course. So I think that's an important part, but also in my personal side, trying more or what's next would be, helping businesses grow and also doing more. I think, when I get to retire, doing more also from a giving back to society and joining. I've said to Gift of the Givers to Imtiaz that I want to come and join him. So when I retire, and he says, yeah, but you're going to have to go through training.
Old intent. Talking about that, I mean, that's so impactful, all right? It's a powerful stuff. I look at the work that we do at Medtronic. I mean, it's just that stuff helps me to sleep at night. Just the impact side of things. But ESG, just want to tell you, I mean, that's the right direction. I was invited to speak at the Vets Business School. They were launching Chapter 0, which is all about the climate. And I see outside you going, solar and green, which is, the right direction, I think, to go. And also agree to be a patron to support the whole green story, because I think up until now the boards have been supporting too much of the governance, the G in the ESG, the social and the E kind of lag behind, and maybe we can connect offline about that. I'm very passionate about the ESG part of it. In fact, I do a lot of work with Summit, the healthcare sector trade organization, which I chair and lead, and also I want to get AmCham, where I'm the vice president, to do more of that stuff, because businesses needs to do a lot on the ESG, and I find there's been a big tension between long term and short term, because the ESG is it's a long haul. So yeah, I mean, with that, thank you very much for making the time and spending time chilling with me, and sharing so much about your family, that demystifying that Shameel Joosub is not a robot, it's a real man with real children and wife and extended family, and also like food, some dishes, and support Man United, unfortunately. So thank you very much for your time.
It was nice
Appreciate
to
it.
know you as well.
Cool.